Hello, this is a spur of the moment thing, but I'm here to put all the Kingdom Hearts games in a tier list. Is Kingdom Hearts my favorite game series? No, that's probably Resident Evil, but I have played all these games several times. Yes, even the bad ones. Well, not all of these games, but the ones I've played several times. And I really love this series, and it's not for the story, it's really for the characters, for the worlds, for the level, like the level design. The bosses are amazing. So we're just gonna do a quick tier list of our Kingdom Hearts games right here. All right, so let's just explain the tiers, at least for me. S is just top tier everything, top tier story. I mean, the series doesn't really have the best story. You have top tier story, at least graded on a curve with respect to the other Kingdom Hearts games. You also have top tier gameplay, top tier worlds, top tier bosses, and uh, top tier side content. Side content's actually pretty meaty in the good Kingdom Hearts games. So excuse me, we'll consider that as well. So that's S. A is it's probably lacking in one of these fields. B means around two. C means it's a bit middling in several fields, and D means it's just middling or all over the place, and F means it's actually bad in a lot of places. So it's not a really um, empirical or objective list. Okay, this is not the objective truth. You are going to disagree with this. I don't want to compute the probability of us having the exact same tier list, but you're not going to agree with this list, and that's okay. All right, your opinion is just as valid as mine. You should make your own video so that people can give you some views. But all right, let's just get to it. Let's fill out this last tier first. Which games did I not play here? I did not play Union Kai. I did not play Recoded, and I did not play 358 over 2 days. So those games are kind of not included. All right. So first up, let's just go in release order, I guess. Kingdom Hearts 1, I'm going to tell you first what I think. Kingdom Hearts 1 has the best story of all the games, just because it's the simplest one. So it doesn't get too stuck up its own ass, unlike the other games in the series. Gameplay wise, it is the most janky in terms of the combat system. The Sora doesn't really like do all the crazy stuff he does in the sequels. Some people think that's a good thing. I personally prefer the gameplay of even the floatier Kingdom Hearts. However, I do prefer the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 3 just because Kingdom Hearts 1 still has that sort of challenge to it, whereas Kingdom Hearts 3 is press triangle to win the game. So, with that said, side content, I really love the bosses in Kingdom Hearts, and with when it comes to side content, we must not forget to mention some of the side bosses here, such as in the Hercules world, Olympus Coliseum. You can eventually find Sephiroth and Ice Titan, really cool bosses, or some of the Final Fantasy characters. You can also fight Kurtz Zisa. You can also fight Phantom. This game just has a lot of cool boss fights. In the main story, you even have boss fights. One of my favorites is Cerberus, because Cerberus is that moment in the game where you're just, if you don't know how to make the most of this game's combat system, Cerberus is the moment you'll realize you're kind of fucked. So, with that said, where do I place the first Kingdom Hearts? I'm just gonna drop it in A. The gameplay is just not as smooth as I'd like it to be, so I'll drop it one tier from S just for that. Which brings us to Chain of Memories. The story for Chain of Memories is slightly worse than the first Kingdom Hearts, but I actually kind of defend it because it is essentially a political thriller in Organization 13. And it's told from the point of view of the collateral damage of this political scheming inside Organization 13, Castle Oblivion. The gameplay is hit or miss for some people. I really did enjoy the card system of Chain of Memories. For the longest time, I put this game off because I thought I wouldn't like it, but I'm a math nerd and I found this combat system kind of interesting. So I don't know what that says about me, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed building decks, and even when you play as Riku in the second half of the game, I enjoyed improvising on the spot based on the deck the game gave me. So is this game perfect? No, the gameplay is going to be very like even I acknowledge some people are going to hate this gameplay. The story is kind of difficult to understand, but for what it is, it's really interesting. It's basically a political thriller among the villains in this game. So I really enjoy that. Boss fights. This game has amazing boss fights. Marluxia is probably I don't want to say he's my favorite final boss. That probably goes to Kingdom Hearts 2. But Marluxia might be the second favorite final boss I have. I actually enjoy the Marluxia fight, the final phase at least, more than the World of Chaos from the first game. So with that said, I will put Chain of Memories on the B tier. It's I'm talking about Rechain of Memories here, by the way, the PS3 remake, which I got to play on the PS4 with the KH 1.5 plus 2.5 collection. But I'm gonna have to put it in B tier just because I do acknowledge that without my personal enjoyment of it, some people this combat system is going to be a bit more um, difficult for some people to get into. So with that said, I do place it on the B tier. Up next is Kingdom Hearts 2, and you know what? I'm just gonna spoil you guys. You know this is gonna go to S tier. Kingdom Hearts 2 story is actually worse than the first game again because it's way too convoluted at this point. But while you're playing it, you don't really notice that. On a moment per moment basis, I think it reaches higher highs than the first game. One example is just the Thousand Heartless fight. But I'm one of the people who absolutely adores the prologue, and I know this isn't a minority, or probably not a minority, because a lot of my friends do agree. We have this sort of understanding, this consensus that the first 2 hours of Kingdom Hearts 2 is the best part of the game story wise, even though gameplay wise it's kind of middling, and that's the main flaw of that prologue. Really, the gameplay wise it's not very compelling. It's really there to present the story to you first and foremost, and then you just get into it a little bit more when you start controlling Sora. But I do love that first 2 hours. It is a good way to build up the story. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. That's all I have to say. The bosses in this game are outstanding. The first boss, when Roxas fights Axel, no, actually, that's the second boss. The first boss is against Twilight Thorn, and that boss teaches you reaction commands. So, yeah, it's technically a what do you call this? It's a quick time event, but I didn't mind. You know, I didn't notice when I was a kid. It was fun for me. You felt real cool because for the first time after about an hour of playing, you're actually doing some cool shit in a Kingdom Hearts game again, and that was nice. My favorite boss fight in the game is probably Sephiroth. That fight was just so satisfying to beat after all these years. Um, no. I'll scratch that. My favorite fight, especially on critical difficulty, which by the way I played all these games on the hardest difficulty, is Roxas in the World That Never Was. That fight took me about 2 hours to beat, and each attempt took about less than 3 minutes. So that was a lot of attempts, but it was so satisfying to finally do it. It felt fair, is all I'm saying. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2, easy S tier. Which brings us to number 4, Birth by Sleep. I'm gonna put this on D tier. Birth by Sleep is actually my least favorite Kingdom Hearts game because on the hardest difficulty, this game is not balanced. It's I did not like the command deck system. It felt like the beginning of press triangle to win, which is basically what the rest of these games kind of devolve into as we go along. Birth by Sleep started that, and literally you could press triangle to win the game. It's just if you have the right command deck cards, you do press triangle to win. That's literally the gameplay of this game. The side content is really boring. There's the mini games that freaking command board. That's fun for the first 3 times you do it, and then afterward it's just I don't care for it. I do love the ice cream beat minigame in Disney Town. The racing I could do without. It was fun, but doing it for the platinum trophy, having to run those courses, it's just It's probably my second least favorite. Fruit Ball is my least favorite of the Disney Town mini games. Ice Cream Beat never got old, and getting that when I first did the game as Terra and I got to that part, I struggled with Ice Cream Beat. Um, but you eventually have to do the perfect run for all characters for the Platinum Trophy. And by the time I came back there as Ventus and Aqua, I got almost all of them first try. Ice Cream Beat is just practice, and that was really rewarding for me. Side bosses, there's a few infamous bosses here. There's the mysterious figure, and that guy's just completely broken on critical. I did not beat him on critical. I beat him on the easiest difficulty because that boss is just is disgusting. It's definitely no lingering will. But yeah, that's I really have not much to say about this game because I don't like it that much. Can I just say that the boss design in Birth by Sleep is the worst boss design in the series? There's only one boss. There's only one boss that I really love in this game, and that's Magic Mirror. Okay, Magic Mirror in the Snow White world is the best boss in the game. It's the one that has the most Kingdom Hearts tropes to it. The epic fight with the boss with all the gimmicks from the movies. It's just it's the most cinematic fight in Birth by Sleep, and it's not even close. Moving on, we're going into Dream Drop Distance, and I will actually place Dream Drop Distance on the B tier. Do I place it above Chain of Memories? I actually enjoy this more than Chain of Memories. So, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. What about it? The story, at this point, I've given up on the story. That's why it's in B tier. But the gameplay has the command deck system. And when the tutorial came on and it showed me how to use the command deck again, I put I face palmed. I'm like, oh, this again. But it also introduced flow motion. And I know this point seems to be contentious among the fandom. I enjoyed flow motion. It got old, but when it got old, I went back to Command Deck. It's just the boss fights in this game really do support the flow motion. And my favorite boss fight is Rinsler in the Tron Legacy world because Rinsler felt like a lesser version of the Roxas fight. So take that as you will. The best fight in Dream Drop Distance is a lesser version of the best fight in Kingdom Hearts 2. Is this game worth playing? I think the level design is fun enough if you like the Kingdom Hearts series already. And the flow motion gives these levels a different way of traversal than other Kingdom Hearts games. I really enjoyed, for example, the Hunchback of Notre Dame world, the Sora side of the Pinocchio world, and the Tron world. They were really fun to traverse. It was just a blast. It was something different, and it didn't really revitalize the series for me, but it was fun. It was fun for the most part. All right, we're going to move into Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep 0.2, a fragmentary passage. And I'm going to give this F for the title. I'm just kidding. The title is really, really bad, but I'm going to place this on the C tier only because it's kind of short. But for what is there, I really do like the gameplay here. It feels like it's a bit more balanced than Kingdom Hearts 3. And in Kingdom Hearts 3 added the attraction uh, what do they call it? The attraction thingies, the roller. You summon Disney rides essentially, and I did not like that one bit. In this game, they didn't have that. It was just a magic, and Grand Magic to me is not completely broken. So I enjoyed playing this game. I enjoyed all the challenge runs. For example, there's this one challenge where you have to beat Phantom Aqua without taking damage, and that was the most satisfying thing. Slightly more satisfying than beating Darkseid without taking any damage. But that one was also fun. They were really difficult, but they felt fair. So story wise, there's really not much that happens in 0.2. It's really more of a tech demo for the engine of Kingdom Hearts 3. So with that said, I there's really not much there for me to talk about. It's a good demo for the Kingdom Hearts 3, possibly a better version of the Kingdom Hearts 3 engine than Kingdom Hearts 3 actually ended up being. So you may be wondering, where did Kingdom Hearts 3 end up? If Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep 0.2 or Fragmentary Passage was a better version of the engine, does Kingdom Hearts 3 end up on the C tier or higher? Tough question. It's definitely better than Birth by Sleep, but I would actually rather play Kingdom Hearts 3 over uh, Birth by Sleep 0.2 because there's just more content to it. So, does it go into B tier? You know what? I'm gonna place it on the top of the B tier. The main problem with Kingdom Hearts 3 is that there's no story until you beat all the Disney worlds. And for an approximately 20-hour game, that's the first 15 hours where nothing of importance happens. The combat is good up until you start using attraction commands, and it's just press triangle to win. So it's almost worse than the Birth by Sleep games and the Dream Drop Distance versions of the command deck system, where you press triangle to win, because at least there you can sort of uh, put the cards in your command deck as you please. Here, it's really just based on your actions, and really, I've played this game on critical mode, which means I was forced to use my brain cells for some of the fights, and I've never really had to overthink triggering specific reaction commands just to get a certain outcome from a fight. Usually, it can get by just by using my normal Kingdom Hearts game sense, which is blocking at the right points, movement, mobility around the map, and attacking and not being too greedy. I never really had to plan my reaction commands, even on critical difficulty. Which, by the way, if they never released a patch for critical difficulty, this would easily be D tier Kingdom Hearts. But critical mode in Kingdom Hearts 3 is really fun. As long as you add another constraint, because there's another thing broken that really critical mode can't fix, and I decided not to use it in my run, which is summons. Summoning Wreck-It Ralph, Ariel, that stuff really just breaks this game. It's broken, and I haven't noticed if they've patched it afterward, but the version I played, it's really just it's 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 not balanced, you know. Remind kind of placed it on the top of the B tier. Remind, I'm actually considering moving this over here, but I just can't bring myself to. But Remind is that good. Battling the organization members in Remind, that was just like the data fights in Kingdom Hearts 2, which I totally forgot to mention, by the way. Those data fights are great. Can I just say that? Can I just say that? But in Kingdom Hearts 3, the data fights, they're not as good as in Kingdom Hearts 2 because the combat system isn't as good. But it's still really rewarding to learn those fights and actually overcome them. So my favorite are because my favorite data fight is probably Shion. Shion's a really difficult fight. I'd say Shion is more difficult in the data fights than Xehanort, which is saying a lot. So that's it. Let's do our final ranking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 7 is Birth by Sleep, my least favorite. That's on the D tier. C tier, number 6, we have Birth by Sleep 0.2, a fragmentary passage. Number 5, we have Chain of Memories, talking about the PS3 version, Chain of Memories. Number 4, we have Dream Drop Distance. Number 3, we have Kingdom Hearts 3, then Kingdom Hearts 1, then Kingdom Hearts 2. So yeah, that's it. Really short video. I hope this was fun for you to join me on this tier list making. And till the next, see ya. Goodbye.